Hey there. First of all, I just want to thank you for clicking on and listening to the first episode of BLACKTOP Podcast, wherever you are, YouTube, Spotify, wherever we eventually get this podcast on. Christian, Ruben, and I are all very excited to share our content with you guys. However, before I let y'all hear this first episode, I fucked up. So basically, what happened was I don't know what happened. I thought I was using my regular mic. However, that's not the case. You're going to see how my audio sounds kind of like if you're listening to a song that somebody recorded through their phone. You know what I mean? When it comes to Christian and Ruben, their audio is perfectly fine. Their mics were working. It was just on my part, and I messed it up, and I apologize. However, I promise that in the future, it will not happen again. But just for this first episode, my audio goes sound a little funky. But regardless, thank you again for tuning into the first episode. I appreciate each and every one of y'all that tune in and will tune in. But shoot, I don't want to keep y'all any longer. Again, I apologize. I will be better. But here's the first episode of the BLACKTOP Podcast. I hope you enjoy. Hello there. Welcome to the first episode of the BLACKTOP Podcast. I am your host, DJ, formerly of the Bucks and Six Podcast. I don't really know what's going on with that right now, but it's a nice new venture here. It's not just me this time, thankfully. Got some homies with me. So, first off, I'm going to introduce this man. I love him like my brother, but he's really my cousin. I got my homie, Christian.
Hey, yo, what's up? My name's Christian. I don't know if I'm supposed to introduce myself, but my name's Christian.
Yeah, bro, you can give a little intro.
Hey, Christian. I'm 21. Don't really have a favorite NBA team. I'm just here for the vibes. Jason Tatum is my favorite player, if you guys are curious. I like oranges. That's about it.
Oh, this is right after his 50-piece too. But I got my other homie, this man right here, Raptors extraordinaire. He's interviewed RJ Barrett. I think he's interviewed OG Anunoby. The one and only Ruben. What's up, bro?
What's going on, bro? Thanks for having me on. What up, Chin? What's going on? Just been around the block with the NBA stuff. I covered the Raptors for Daily Hive and Raptors Rapture, which is a blog under the Sports Illustrated, umbrella. So yeah, I've had some cool opportunities, and now I'm just a fan. I'm out of the journalism scene, but I've had some cool opportunities to talk to guys like Danny Green and Kelly Olynyk, and was there the first day of training camp when Kawhi Leonard was acquired by the Raptors, and obviously the best season in Raptors history. So yeah, man, good time. Appreciate you, DJ, for having me. I'm excited to talk hoops with you guys. Let's get it.
I'm excited too. So I guess, I didn't really introduce myself. So this is your first time hearing me. My name is DJ. I am a Bucks fan, but I think with this podcast, the main thing I want to show is that at the end of the day, I love hoops, love the NBA. I love watching men play with balls, No, but for real, I enjoy the NBA as a whole, and I think this podcast will be like my little way of showing the love of that. So what we're going to do, part one will be similar to what I already did in my other podcast. We're going to give you all some takes of the days. These takes could be whatever, hot, cold. I could say, man, John Conchar is going to be an MVP. Doesn't matter. It could be anything. After that, we're going to talk about John Conchar, bro. Had like 15 rebounds for the Grizzlies. No.
He's nice, though. He is nice for the Grizzlies.
He's nice with it. After
Something
that,
about the Grizzlies,
bro, for sure. After that, we will be talking about guys potentially on the move and just general trade line talk. Some deals that have already happened, some deals that might happen. We'll talk about all that. And after that, I don't want to give too much away right now, but I'm just going to call it the BLACKTOP Showdown.
Yes, sir.
All right, so without further ado, let's start off with our takes. Does anybody want to volunteer to go first?
I've been thinking about this a lot because obviously we've been having talks about this podcast, but I really think the Warriors are going to make a move. Like, I think it's obvious that a lot of teams are going to make a move, but I think the Warriors are poised to make a move, especially with where they're at right now. They got a lot of assets to work with. They got a lot of young guys. They sell, I believe, most of their, like, a good amount of picks to work with. And I mean, they got like expiring dudes out of their prime. Like, I mean, you already know who's on the Warriors: Dre, Steph, Clay. Like, if they don't push for a run, but they hold on to these young guys, it doesn't really make sense. So I think there's definitely a move there. I know me and DJ talked about it, but Miles Turner is like a dream destination or a dream player for them. So I don't know. I don't think it's a hot take. I think like the Warriors, like they're in. I don't know if the Western Conference is like the toughest conference these days. Some will argue. I think it's personally not in the current climate of the NBA, but I do think like they do have to go up against the Suns most likely, with people like DeAndre Ayton, even JaVale McGee. Like, respectfully to Kayvon Looney, he's not it. You know, like he hasn't really been built to be a starting center, and I think DeAndre Ayton can definitely, I think, guard or play against like Dre and like play effectively with how the Suns play. So yeah, I just think the Warriors need to make a trade, whether it be for Miles Turner. Can't really think of any other like centers that could really advance their game. Just because I think they do need that interior defense more than anything. But yeah, that's my take.
Yeah, I agree with that actually, because the Warriors have a lot of assets, right? And like they've actually, what I remember reading also is how I know this is obviously because I follow the Raptors, is they actually offered like that package of Kuminga, James Wiseman, Moses Moody, first round picks for a guy like Pascal Siakam. They're trying to look for, a wing player that basically complements their array of stars, right? A guy who can play make, a guy who can hit the three, who can defend multiple positions, because we all know like that Golden State loves to play this versatile brand of basketball. Like, I mean, they've basically started it, and it all starts with Steph. And, like you mentioned, Miles Turner would be such a huge asset for them because defensively they don't have the guy who can anchor the paint. So when they do play a guy like DeAndre Ayton and the Phoenix Suns, that's their biggest weakness. Or even when they play against like a Denver Nuggets, where Jokic is, in my opinion, and this could be a hot take, I think he's the best big in the league, and I think people underrate him as the potential MVP candidate. Because if you look at his numbers, he's literally the best center and the best player in the NBA right now.
He is for sure.
So, I agree with that a lot. I think Indiana is looking to sell, obviously, and I think Golden State should be a team to buy. So I feel that. My hot take, for this one, I think Philadelphia is a move away from being an NBA Finals team, and that all obviously stands with Ben Simmons, and I'm sure we're going to talk about that later in the other section. But I think they're a player away because they have Tobias Harris, and while he's been inconsistent, he's shown that when he has the touches and when the offenses run through him at certain times, like he's a guy who can produce, right? He can shoot the ball, he can put the ball on the floor. He's a really good second piece to Joel Embiid, who's obviously having just as good a season, if not better than last. And if it wasn't for all the injuries, he could be very much in the MVP conversation. And then you look at their other guys, they have defensive players like Matisse Thybulle, who everyone is so high on. And, he's going to be a guy who's in the all-defensive conversation, a candidate for the all-defensive team. They've got two solid guards. I'm super high on Tyrese Maxey. And then they have, sorry, if you guys can jump in, what's the other kid's name? The backup point guard. Jeez, he's missing.
Backup point guard?
He's a
Seth?
No, well, they have.
No, wait, not Seth.
God, now we have to go through the Sixers roster really quick. How embarrassing!
Really,
but
I think the Sixers and Warriors are all teams that are definitely in like contention for the finals.
Shake Milton, I'm sorry. Shake Milton.
Bro, I fucking love Shake Milton.
Yeah. Oh, God.
And
Yeah.
then look at Philly. They have Georges Niang. They have Furkan Korkmaz. They have Seth Curry. Danny Green, if and when he's healthy. They have the shooters. They need another guy who can facilitate and create. The guy who can take pressure off Joel Embiid when he can't score, and sometimes when teams go small, right? It's a lot harder for him, even though he can back his way into the post. So I mean, I think they're one player away from literally being atop the Eastern Conference.
I mean, if I can jump in real quick, who do you think that player is? Like in the climate of the NBA right now, I just think
Oh man,
like
I have
like
one. I have
like
one.
people like there's so many guards that I think people aren't selling at the moment. Like the only
Mhm.
team I can think that is selling their guards, like off the top of my head, is like the Kings. But even then, I've heard rumors that they want to hold on to De'Aaron Fox and Tyrese together, and I'm just like, if they're not even selling, I don't know who could really be a better fit and who they could get for Ben Simmons. So I'm curious on who you think might be there.
Well, yeah, the one guy at the beginning of the season, well, the one team that they were having conversations with constantly was Portland. And if they couldn't have gotten Dame, then CJ McCollum is the perfect guy, in my opinion. Is he that type of talent to bring them over the hump? I don't know. But like in terms of fit, he's the next best guy. If a guy like Dame Lillard isn't available, if a guy like De'Aaron Fox isn't available, or even if Tyrese Halliburton isn't available, I feel like he would be a really good player that can develop into that role. Just because, again, facilitating, creating shot off the dribble, take pressure off the defense, type of thing. Like CJ McCollum's that next best tier, and if he can be had, and he's alongside a Tyrese Maxey, a Thibault, Tobias Harris, and the Joel Embiid, I feel like you have a championship caliber team.
I
Man,
think that's a fair take.
I will live and die on this Mountain Dew. You put Buddy Hield on that team, Eastern Conference Finals, man. Because here's the thing, yo.
Field?
Buddy Hield has the most points in his draft class, and that's a draft class with Brandon Ingram and like Ben Simmons. I think Jaylen Brown's in that draft class too. But either way, like Buddy Hield, I think is a guy who does not get his respect, but that's because he's in a situation where he got screwed. Because this is a guy that is one of the best shooters in the league, one of the best catch and shooters right now, and fucking Luke Walton tried to make him a playmaker, and he has like decent ability to make plays. But I think about it like this, man. If you just insert him into that Philly roster, and Joel Embiid's backing into the paint, you can't double him. Because either if you help off the double, either fucking Buddy Hield's open or Seth Curry's open. Two guys that like 9 times out of 10 won't miss that open three. But I also feel like the $20 million is the only reason why. Like, as much as he's someone I'd like to see moved, if there's anything that would hinder that, it'd probably be that price tag.
That contract. I mean, like, we could have almost saw that, like how valuable of a player he could have been if that trade with Sacramento and the Lakers went through too at the beginning of the year. And like, look at it now. In hindsight's 2020, but they were probably better off making that deal with Sacramento and acquiring Buddy Hield instead of Russell Westbrook. And I'm pretty sure we can all agree. But yeah, I agree with that a lot. Buddy Hield could have been could be a good piece for Philly.
I heard Kuzma and Montrez were both like on the side or knew that like, okay, we're going to Sacramento so we can stay in Cali, and then they got hoed last minute there.
Yeah, well, I mean, they ended up finding a good situation in Washington. I mean,
true.
Kuzma's having the best season of his career.
Yeah, most definitely. I do think, like, the one thing I have to argue, like, I'm just looking at the 76ers roster right now, is that, like, I mean, it's probably obvious that they wouldn't just trade Buddy Hield for Ben Simmons, although I don't know how the contracts will line up, so maybe they wouldn't get much more than Buddy Hield. But I do think, like, looking at this roster, like, Tyrese, Maxey, and Shake Milton, like, they know how to play, like, as slashers, but I don't think they have, like, a lot of aggression in that area, and I can just see like that. I don't think Buddy Hield will necessarily put them over the hump either. Like I think if they were to able to like acquire someone like Harrison Barnes in that trade, maybe like I think that could help out because I think like that would take a lot of pressure off Tobias Harris to kind of be like an ISO scorer, and so they could actually have a good mix of like slashing and 3-point shooting. Like I don't think Buddy Hield is gonna necessarily be able to do that for them. Like I think he's traditionally just more of an off-ball player, even though he can like light it up. I just think I think Tyrese Maxey and Shake Milton are too inexperienced for them to like sacrifice Ben Simmons, if that makes sense. Like I think they would find more. Like I think they'd find more out of CJ McCollum. But at the same time, like it's hard to say what they can even get out of Ben Simmons at this point.
Honestly, I think it all boils down to the fact that Daryl Morey is too prideful. Because, I mean, they had that Harden deal, like, on deck. But they just didn't pull the trigger. I think now it's like you're hearing they went from James Harden, generational and the best shooting guard since Kobe Bean Bryant, to CJ McCollum. CJ McCollum, I think, is still solid. I just think nobody wants to think of it in a picture where he's not. I don't want to say Dame's holding him back, but I definitely think that's a factor where we've seen, like, even now when it's operating him and Anthony Simons, this dude's like, it's on a heater low key. But I think just the fact that there's so much of that, all right, he's only played with Damian Lillard. I don't know how that's going to operate. But I think if you put him in a situation where he's not playing second fiddle to another guard, I definitely would like put him on the six. And I think, like, I don't know if he's putting them over the top, but I definitely think if you combine, I think honestly, the way the Sixers roster is constructed is a lot like the Bucks before they got their chip.
Yeah, I see that.
Yeah, Tobias Harris is obviously Chris Middleton, just not as good. No, but Tobias Harris is the guy that is super solid, but no one will ever be like. The fact that he is getting paid as much as he is getting paid, I think, is the reason why nobody gives him his respect. So I think if you put,
too.
yeah, and even I'm not gonna lie, even I was like, man, why the fuck we paying Chris Middleton max money? But I digress.
Well, it's the All-Star tag.
Finals.
It's these guys are all borderline All-Star players. So and the picture of the NBA is you kind of have to overpay for talent. Because otherwise, these guys are just going to head to Miami, LA, and Chicago. And we've already seen that. So you got to overpay to keep these guys, especially in these small markets like a Milwaukee. And even to some presidents like Philadelphia, because like they haven't – I mean, before the 2019 season where, obviously they had that crazy team and lost by a couple bounces, right? They haven't really made much noise. So, I mean, this is why, like, my hot take is the fact that, dude, I think they're literally a player away, and I think they're wasting it. And by doing this little stalemate with Ben Simmons, because, again, like you mentioned, Daryl Morey is just way too prideful to let go of that talent. He lost out on the opportunity to get Harden early on. And, like, if you look at it this way, too, if Ben Simmons just came back and played, like, just let's minus all the drama and just take it out of the way, Simmons on this current roster makeup is the player to get them over the top.
For sure. Yeah.
No doubt. They don't need, like, I don't know. I think the Buddy Hield thing is just, like, too much of a good thing. Could potentially make more good thing. But, no, I think definitely putting Ben Simmons on this roster, I think they're definitely, like, top 3 in the East easy.
Yeah, 100%.
All right, I guess I'll present my take. So, my take, I'm sipping the Kool-Aid here. This team is very close to my heart, considering that, they were here originally. But, okay, if y'all don't know, all of us are from Vancouver. Well, specifically, like, not really Vancouver, but the part that you guys would know is Vancouver. It's that I think the Grizzlies are going to be this year's Hawks. I think they're one of the most impressive teams this year. Ja Morant, in my opinion, should not be in MIP conversations, but MVP conversations. And I think they're going to make the conference finals.
I think that's a bad take.
Well, I actually think they have a really good chance to make the Western Conference Finals because they have a star player, they've got bigs, they've got wings, and they've got depth. The one thing that they lack, obviously, is playoff experience. But you can already see that the way they play is a way that could translate in the playoffs. Because they're very much able to play in the half court. They get out in transition also, but like when they slow it down, they're able to create offense. because John Morant is such a force. Obviously, the drive and kick stuff works. I mean, I want to also say, I think Memphis doesn't get their due diligence as being a great development program and their scouting. Like, dude, we were talking about it earlier offline. Conchar, bruh,
Oh,
who?
bro.
And then he comes in and
Exactly.
he's a contributor. Like, from top to bottom, they've got guys who can play and they can plug and place. When John Morant was out, they were able to stay afloat because they had guys like Desmond Bain, DeAnthony Melton, Jones. They were able to contribute while their star player was out. And now they have them back. You can see like they have all the pieces filled for them to be able to go far enough. Like you said, the Hawks were that team last year, right? That they very much could be because they have the same similar makeup that the Hawks had last year to get them far. And the West really is a 3-4 man race right now. You know,
Yeah.
So,
Because,
yeah,
I
for
mean,
sure.
you got Phoenix and Golden State, and now you got Memphis in there, and the fourth team is who? Like,
I would say,
the Jazz are in fourth
Yeah.
right now, but like, let's be real. Like, the Jazz are still the same team. I mean, I'm not gonna shit on the Jazz, but like, they're a second round exit team every year, and like,
really, yo.
You know what I like in the Jazz too? The Raptors from 2015 to 2018.
that's a good take.
They're
Yeah,
a very good regular season team, and when it comes to the playoffs, they just don't have enough.
Yeah. I'm not gonna lie. I
So
like the addition of Rudy Gay, though. I think him being 6'8", I think when teams play 5 out and Rudy Gobert is somewhat useless in that situation, I like the idea of Rudy Gay being like your small ball 5. But yeah, I think the thing with Jazz is kind of the place that the Bucks were in earlier. Who gives a fuck about regular season success? They really just got to prove it in the playoffs.
yeah. And I mean, if you look at the rest of the West, I think like looking at the bottom four teams, the Lakers, the Timberwolves, the Nuggets, and the Mavericks, like I don't know how you guys feel about those teams either buying or selling, but like I look at the Timberwolves because I have Anthony Edwards and Carl Anthony Towns on my fantasy team, so I'm rooting on their success, but like I feel like a lot of players are going to be moving in the West, especially because there is a 4 man race, and like I don't think I mean you don't necessarily want to like kind of give away the prime years of Carl Anthony Towns and well, at least Carl Anthony Towns. Anthony Edwards is still young, but I think they're on a timeline where they have to do something. Like I know D'Angelo Russell is in the talks a lot about trades. Um, like I think there was a lot of talks about Ben Simmons, like a Ben Simmons and D'Angelo Russell trade, and that again is like I don't know if 76ers would want D'Angelo Russell, but he's not the same make as CJ McCollum. He's definitely a tier below, in my opinion. Um, but I do think like there is going to be some shifting there. Um, but yeah, I don't even know where I'm going with that. I just think like it's it's definitely a 4 man race in the West, maybe even 3. I don't fuck with the Jazz.
yeah, I agree. I agree with that. It's probably the 3 man race. The only reason why I give the 4 man race thing is just out of respect for Utah because they're always there.
Yeah, exactly.
And Rudy Gay could be a good contributor, but he's also been inconsistent this year. So, but they haven't really had that wing player or the guy that who can play the small ball 5 or add versatility to their lineup because everything relies solely on Donovan Mitchell and
Oh yeah, and that PNR.
and that
And it's
PNR.
one of the best PNRs in the league, but
It is. But then when it comes to a half court game, everybody shrinks the floor, right? So it makes it very difficult, and Utah struggles to hit big shots. When the game's close or when even when they're wide open. So yeah, I feel you on that. I mean, it's definitely a 3 man race. I just Utah's got a chance, I guess.
Most definitely.
definitely. I think this is the perfect segue, though. All right. So, the NBA trade deadline, obviously, it's like, what, 3 weeks away or so? So, let's talk about it. I mean, I guess let's talk about the moves first that have already happened. Rondo to the Cavs, I don't even know what's happening with that anymore because he hasn't even really been playing for them. But I do
Yeah.
think that's a good move. What do you guys think?
I mean, I think like it is a good move in a sense where if they want to be like kind of playing for a playoff experience, like they want a guy like that in their locker room. Because I know that's honestly why they have Ricky Rubio, but it's unfortunate he went down with the ACL injury. Because I've seen a
And
lot of
he's
talk
having
about.
such a good year.
Yeah,
I
he
know,
he
man.
he literally left the year before he got injured on like a almost 30-point triple double, and like
Mhm.
I just think like they're probably trying to not replicate that feeling, but given that their timeline is like guys like Jared Allen and Darius Garland and maybe Colin Sexton if he comes back, like I do think they're trying to just gain playoff experience for those guys so that they can be like a big team in the future. But I mean, Rondo as a player, I think that's like as a player like on their team is an insignificant move. Like it's more for the locker room and for like development, in my opinion.
Yeah,
For
I
sure.
feel
But
that. I feel that.
he popped off like with the Lakers when they won their championship. Like people were like, "Oh man, Rondo's like playoff player, like playoff Rondo. He was shooting threes in the playoffs." Like, but that was as many would say, the Mickey Mouse year. So that's another thing.
Yeah, I feel that. I agree with Christian. Like that Rondo deal is simply just to add another veteran to the locker room and a guy who can help mentor a guy like Darius Garland. And if and when he comes back, Colin Sexton. I mean, if you look at it this way, they have so much good young talent, and it's already showing how good they are. But we also don't give enough cadence to guys like Kevin Love and Ricky Rubio in that locker room, right? That that championship experience, and or that playoff and that long term experience, and then you bring in a guy like Rondo who recently won a ship with the Lakers and who's been on contending teams. It's like you just have that in your locker room. It just gives you a different presence, and it just gives you more knowledge, so that when you get to those situations, you kind of understand how to approach, these games and different situations. But I think Rondo could actually be a big time contributor for them during the playoffs,
Sure.
because guys like Darius Garland and Isaac Okoro and Seti Osman, these aren't guys who were big contributors on playoff teams, right? Once they step foot in the playoffs, which I think they will be the top 6 team. Unfortunately for my Raptors, they'll probably be a play-in team, and I think Cleveland will take that 6th spot. But that first game, they're going to come in wide-eyed, right? Because they're not going to understand that the stage is just set so much different. And, like, games are played so different. So having a guy where you can be like, hey, how do I approach this situation? Or he can just come in and take the ball and just knows what to do. That's a huge difference. That makes a huge, huge impact on your team.
No, definitely. I think he's like he's like a step above Udonis Haslem in that he'll play. But yeah, no, I definitely agree. A big locker room move, but yeah, shoot. I think Kevin Love has definitely had a good resurgence this year. I mean, he went from probably one of the worst players in that, like, value-wise, considering how much he's getting paid. So now he's averaging like a nice double-double off your bench, and considering that, again, he was in those wars with the Warriors. And now he's able to take that, give it to guys like, Darius Garland, Evan Mobley, who in my opinion is going to be Rookie of the Year. No offense, Raptors, but yeah, no,
I think he will though. I think he will. I agree with that take though.
Yeah,
yeah, definitely.
Realistically speaking.
I mean, Evan Mobley is on pace. He's in talks for all defensive team in his rookie year. That shit hasn't been done since Tim Duncan.
Yeah. No, he's been great. And also, I would say a lot of it helps him because his right hand anchor is Jared Allen, who is also one of the best defensive bigs in the league.
Definitely.
So I would also, it's not to take away from Evan Mobley and how good he's been, but it's definitely helpful when you have another guy beside you who can guard the paint and protect your inside. But yeah, Evan Mobley's been good, man.
Oh, no doubt. Well, I mean, when Tim Duncan came in, wasn't David Robinson was still playing, so he still had the inside presence. So yeah. For sure. I think the Cavs is definitely like they're a team I think should look to buy a bit more, though, in my opinion.
Who do you think they be buying? Like, I'm just thinking about their roster. Like, I don't know who. I actually have heard that they're trying to, like, not that they're trying. Like, this is all rumors, of course, that Colin Sexton could be bought off, considering his injury status. Like, he's out for the season, and that like if they wanted to make a move for him. Like Darius Garland is like one of their obvious future players. If they roll the dice right, I don't think they need Colin Sexton, given the style of play and like having Evan Mobley and Jarrett Allen, like you guys said. So I think, who do you think they'd be buying right now?
I think
Well,
they'd be looking to.
I just want to
sorry,
add
go ahead,
that.
William.
Yeah, sorry, bro. I just want to add that Sexton has been in trade talks since the beginning of the year,
For sure.
or even going back as far as the summertime and free agency. So if there is an odd man out, it's like you said, Christian, probably Colin Sexton.
Yeah, no, I think with Sexton, it's very much similar to how with Dame and CJ. We've seen how much a short backcourt duo can really like do in the playoffs. In that case, Western Conference Finals, but you get swept. But no, I think if I were the Cavs, I'd be looking to get maybe like another wing, like a guy who can actually more classical sense of the wing. Because I mean, playing the 3 7-footers is cool and all, but I feel like come playoff time, you need the ability to like play more conventional style basketball here and there. As much as Cedi Osman is good, I enjoy him as towards the end of my rotation, but I wouldn't want him as like one of the first guys off my bench.
Well, I mean, they're starting Lauri Markkanen, and he's like he's a center. He's a power forward center that's playing the 3 spot right now. So they've gone unconventional and gone super big, right, with the length and the size, and then they're playing, Garland and Isaac Okoro and whatnot. But it's tough if you look around the league. Who are wings that are going to be available come trade deadline? I mean, like the names like we mentioned are like Buddy Hield and Harrison Barnes. Like those would be guys that are great. He would be a great fit. But the only guy that they have value to offer going backwards is a guy like Colin Sexton, and they already have enough guards in Sacramento unless they work a 3-team deal with another team that needs a guard. It's tough. It's tough looking at the landscape of the league where like we see the teams that need certain players, but those players aren't necessarily available right now. And it's weird. I think there's going to be a lot of action around the deadline, but I feel like a lot of it will be very marginal additions.
Yeah, I'm not expecting a big splash.
Unless Indiana completely just went, okay, we're trading LeVert, Sabonis, and Turner. Like those are names that they've already thrown out, and they've said that, or the reports have been that Indiana wants to break it up and completely rebuild. Then there's a Karis LeVert who's available for trade, right? But could I think LeVert's going to have a pretty high asking price?
Honestly, if you put LeVert on, man, I'm a big Karis LeVert fan. I just want to see him play some playoff basketball, man. But shoot, yeah, I think dream target Karis LeVert for the Cavs. More realistic, probably like a good, nice veteran like a shoot.
I mean, Eric Gordon. Eric Gordon's on the block.
True.
He's a guy 6'5", 6'6", who plays the 2 guard and 3, shoot the ball, take pressure off the defense. I mean, he's a perfect guy to have in the playoffs, who can probably be had at a cheaper price. I'm trying to think of who else across the league might have a wing available right now. I mean, Sacramento, obviously, we mentioned Hield and Harrison Barnes, but the return for a guard for them doesn't make sense.
Yeah. I mean, I've heard talks like that the 76ers, like, and I don't know if this would line up, and this is like probably even more of a dream target, but I know they're like trying to, like, if anything, like, again, rumors, like trying to trade off both Ben Simmons and Tobias Harris if there isn't going to be much movement. And so I mean, I know like the Cavs have assets like to give away for Harris. I don't know if the contracts would be able to line up in that sense, but I think like that's someone who could possibly be on the move. Maybe not to the Cavs specifically, but looking at the current status of the 76ers, like the Cavs are ahead of them right now, and the 76ers obviously don't want to waste prime years of Joel Embiid, but I think like they're gonna have to make some like pretty like detrimental moves in the next coming weeks to like to stand a chance in the Eastern Conference with like the Heat, the Bulls, the Nets, the Bucks. So it's either they like crash this year and like kind of reset, or I don't
Be
know.
by all the way. Yeah, because you can't just waste a year of Joel Embiid and he's having a freaking good ass year.
Yeah,
You
like
can't
there's
just
no point in
waste
being,
it.
yeah, there's no point in being a 6 seed, like they either like might as well like reset for the year, or they like should make a push and like do something. So I don't know, man. Like, because they could use someone like Colin Sexton as long as he comes back healthy, of course, and they could turn that around. But in my head, I just don't know. Like with the Cavs, like they're in a whole different situation with being a completely young team, and the 76ers are like stuck with like a shitter and Ben Simmons, and then like Joel Embiid being in his prime. Like I think those are two of the teams that like need to decide where their future is lying right now. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
if they're gonna like go anywhere, like because otherwise, like you're going up against the top 4 teams in the East. I think, in my opinion, are better than the. Oh, okay. Well, I don't know. This is a debatable topic, but I think the East is better than the West right now. Like with
Oh,
how
I agree. I agree.
and
You
and I
too.
just think like the 76ers aren't going to beat any of those teams unless they do something. Same with the Cavs.
Yeah, being in the middle of the pack is the worst place to be, right? Because
Yeah.
like you're talented enough to be there, but when it comes to the playoffs, you know for a fact that there's not enough. I do want to mention I have a sleeper team that would be looking to sell,
It's
and
the
it's
Raptors.
Boston.
I'm
Well,
just kidding.
no, it's Boston.
Mm.
I would love for Toronto to buy for
Yeah.
this year, but I have the Celtics and I have Jalen Brown as a sleeper player that's available because like there's been way too many talks of them not working out and way too much media blow up for it to not be a real thing of let's look at the market and see what we can get for a Jalen Brown. And yeah, like let's be real too. Like this makeup of the roster, for first of all, the front office didn't do a really good job of putting the players around the two J's. But the other part of it too is like if the two also can't play with each other at a consistent basis, you know, they're both young. Okay, like let's put that aside for now. Like how can you expect them to play with a full makeup roster because you don't even know how these guys can actually complement each other on the floor because they're both very similar players, very ball dominant. You know, these are guys who need high volume shots to get theirs. Solid defenders, I wouldn't say great, but Jalen Brown could be a potential name, a sleeper name in my opinion. And there's a lot of teams that would be willing to pay a shit ton of money for that. Money and being in terms of value, like players and picks being sent back to Boston. So yeah, that's a sleeper team and a player that I think could be had at the deadline.
Definitely. I mean, shoot. If I'm like a team that's like looking to contend, I would definitely pick up. In my opinion,
Mm-hmm.
I think game for Jalen Brown, low key. I mean, shoot. I think the thing is, I feel like it's harder. I mean, we've seen with a lot of the recent championship teams. I mean, look at the Bucks. I think you have dominance in every facet, but not two chefs in one kitchen kind of thing. I think
Yeah.
it's hard to make it work with two guys who are so good but play the same position. It's not that it can't work, but I feel like it's way harder. So I feel like if you were to insert either a ball dominant or another guard, because I feel like in terms of centers, I like Robert Williams as their starter because he plays so much bigger than being 6'8", and
Mm-hmm.
he low key got some vision here and there. But I mean, if I'm the Blazers, I would low key. I think the Blazers, as much as Dame is that team, and as much as he will go down in the history of that franchise, I don't think his future is there.
Oh yeah.
I
I
definitely
mean,
think
they're not winning
I would do
anything
that
right now.
Jalen Brown. Yeah, I would do that Jalen Brown deal, but I also don't see that happening just based on the fact that he's not going to play for a while. And if you're the Celtics, obviously, every time you're losing, every time like you're staying about 500, games matter that much more. When you're supposed to be this team that's in contention, and now you're not, or not necessarily not, but now you're like fighting for your playoffs lives. You need like instant stuff. So I definitely think even Jalen Brown for Ben Simmons, I'd consider low key.
Well, that fixes a pretty big hole for both teams, right? Because, like, I mean, it seems like Portland's already got that good plethora of guards between Anthony Simons and CJ McCollum if they decide that that's what they just want to move forward with. They fill that wing with Jaylen Brown. They've got Yusuf Nurkic, right? And then you look on Boston's side, they haven't found a good point guard since. I mean, they haven't found consistency at the point guard spot since, like, what? Isaiah Thomas?
Isaiah Thomas, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Isaiah Thomas, and then it was Kyrie, and then at that point, who was it? Kemba, Dennis Schroeder. I mean, they've tried a million different things since then, and that's been their biggest problem is, like, they don't have a point guard that through the past, 5 or 6 years has been able to get them over the hump. Isaiah was, like, their best point guard since then, and quite frankly, you're not going to win with Isaiah Thomas being your best player, even when he was at his prime and at his peak.
Yeah.
So,
and I
feel like that's a trade that makes sense.
Exactly. And I mean, like, I'm kind of a default Celtics fan at this point because I love Jason Tatum. I hate how they play because, like, there was a statistic, like, and I mean, it's kind of telling of how bad the Celtics have gotten that Jason Tatum has missed, like, I think maybe he's hit one now, but he, like, missed, like, 20 of his last free throws, or not free throws, 20 of his last 3-point shots at.
Yeah, he was like 2% or something.
Yeah, and, like, I think that's telling because, like, he traditionally, when he was starting with the Celtics, was an off-ball player more than anything, and he would be more of a catch and shoot and ISO type of guy when needed. But now that teams know, like, you don't need to lock up Dennis Schroeder, like, he basically, like, is like the Lone Ranger alongside Jaylen Brown, and they play the same way where it's like get to the hoop or like pull up mid shot if they can, but like those are just ineffective shots at the end of the day, right? So I do think, like, as someone who wants to see Tatum thrive, I think they definitely need to get rid of Jaylen Brown, in my opinion, in order to, like, move along. And I think the only reason they're holding on to him is because he fits in their timeline. Because, like, Robert Williams, Jason Tatum, and Jaylen Brown are, like, probably their future right now. And, like, they're three young guys. And so they don't want anyone that will ruin the timeline because I don't think they're a win now team this season, at least. So they're not going to, in my opinion, trade for, like, someone who's in the older caliber if they're wanting to, like, be in contention in the next few years. Like, I think Jaylen Brown would be traded for another younger guy, probably the point guard position. So Ben Simmons is a good trade. I just think that that's going to be tough to pull off. But yeah, I just think I hate Jaylen Brown as someone who, like, loves Jason Tatum because they play terribly together. And I've been watching them for, like, the last 2 years now, and they just gotten worse and worse, man. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel that they need a better makeup of players for it to be to actually evaluate if that those two can actually coexist long term. So we'll see what they do at the deadline. I assume they're gonna be either buyers or sellers. They very well could be both because they might just try and make a push for the play-on. Because they definitely have the top tier talent, or they could be sellers and just say, hey, let's screw off with this season, and let's just try to get better in the off season and get a high draft pick and go from there.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Now, let's talk about a team like the Pacers, man. Because I mean, I think as much as everybody wants them to be sellers, I feel like the only people that don't want them to be sellers are the people that run that fucking ship. I mean, have y'all heard Gordon Hayward's a dude they're targeting? As much as Gordon Hayward's like an amazing player, that's definitely not someone I'm targeting. Because I mean, you have all these assets, you have all this potential, but the main thing you're like concerned with is staying mediocre. And I don't think the fans deserve that. That's why Paul George left. So if I'm the Pacers, man, I'm selling the ship, yo. I wanted to grab like anyone like 25 and below kind of thing, man.
Yeah, I definitely think they got to sell. I mean, it's they've been middle of the pack since Paul George left, right? So they have the talent, but these guys are all complementary pieces. Sabonis is an all-star.
Perfect point.
Brogdon is a great complementary piece who is in that third tier of guards that, you know, could help a championship team. Miles Turner is still young at 25 years of age. A good center who can shoot the long ball, defend the paint, who can have a form of versatility because he's quite agile as a player. So he works with pretty much any team. But like these aren't guys that you build your core around. You got to have that guy. Like Karis LeVert is also in the older stages now of his career where the talks of him having a ceiling are kind of gone. These are all complementary guys that don't complement a single player. Like if they had a Paul George, then this works. This works perfect.
Yeah.
But they don't have a Paul George. So like where are they right now? So they've got to sell. And if they're gonna buy a guy like Gordon Hayward, they're only moving sideways. And like you said, DJ, and they're not gonna go anywhere else considering how tough the East is now. And this is a plug and trying to make it as unbiased as possible. A team like Toronto right now is still fighting for a playoff spot, but they also know that it's a development season. If you take Dragic off of the roster, they are actually the youngest team in the NBA. So if you take Dragic off of the roster, you have the youngest team that's developing, but they're also understanding that they're trying to win. And that's a different situation versus a team like Indiana where it's a bunch of older guys. They don't really have young talent other than Chris Duarte. And do you foresee that guy being a main corner piece of your franchise? I don't know. I don't think so. He's good, but could he develop into that guy?
Yeah.
So I mean that's the thing. Like, is he in the conversation of a Cade Cunningham? Truthfully, Cade Cunningham or Evan Mobley or Scotty Barnes? I don't know if he's there yet. But yeah, Indiana's got to sell, and that's the frustrating part is because, dude, you guys could have had a million different deals. Like the Golden State deal is right there.
For
The Golden
sure.
State deal is right
Literally
there.
get your full crop of potential. That's your potential core right there.
Yeah, and Golden State would be kind of crazy not to sell on their young assets right now, considering James Wiseman isn't playing and hasn't really panned out, but he still has a potential tag, so he's got trade value. Moses Moody, Jonathan Kuminga, they still have their first round picks. I mean, Sabonis or a Turner could be had. I mean, it's just there's so many teams that you can go to and sell these guys. Like Miles Turner has been in the conversation with Toronto, right? And Toronto can buy pretty low on Miles Turner, right? Because the things that they're looking for are first round picks. So I don't know. Trying to buy on Gordon Hayward is pretty fucking ridiculous to me.
True.
Yeah.
But man, I was talking with Christian way before all these talks of Gordon Hayward. I think Miles Turner could low key be not necessarily the deciding factor, but I think where he goes holds a lot of weight in what happens in the playoffs this year. Because we've seen him on this Indiana team, mediocre as fuck. But I think you put him on a playoff contending team, I think with what he can bring to the table, with how important it is to knock down your three ball in the playoffs, Miles Turner, I think if you put him in a situation where he's not playing second fiddle big man to Sabonis, we could low-key have him being into the talks of the top 10 centers in a way. Now, I'm not saying, now with him being the age he's at now, I think that is somewhat past a bit. But I think putting him in that situation where he's the main guy guarding the rim, he's the main guy, not necessarily pulling the trigger, but being that big man option, man, Miles Turner, that dude's a bad man.
No, I agree completely, and I'm pretty high on Miles Turner, especially because he's on my fantasy team. But I do think personally he has showed a lot of spark in terms of how good he can be, and I think his game is so versatile, and I do think personally to whoever he goes to I actually think he is that deciding factor for a lot of teams. I don't know how Ruben feels about this because it's his team, but I think if he were to go to the Raptors, he could really develop into a closer to star type of player. Because I don't think he needs the ball in his hands to make an effect, but I think he would be more vibrant in a place where bigs are kind of the main focus, with Toronto having Pascal Siakam and OG Anunoby. I don't know. The starting center for the Toronto Raptors right now is kind of up for debate. If I'm,
it's a pretty fluid situation. Right now, their starting center is Pascal because they go small. They're playing small, so their latest starting lineup is they're just starting their best players, which is Fred, Gary Trent, OG, Scotty, and Pascal.
Right.
And they run 7 players. The guys who come off the bench are literally Justin Champagny and Chris Boucher. And Precious Achua, obviously. But it's tough because, like, Toronto, Miles Turner fits perfectly for a lot of teams. Like, if we're talking about Toronto, again, the ability to be versatile, hit the long ball, defend the paint, guard out in the pick and roll, right, if he gets to switch. You look at a team like Golden State, he fits perfectly, right? There's a shit ton of teams that you can say, put Miles Turner on this team, and he just fits perfectly. And then he's allowed to develop because, like, who else is going to take his spot? You know what I mean? He's not trying to battle with another guy who sits in the post all day. So Turner, I agree with you guys, is the ideal player. And just like how I feel 2019 was with Marc Gasol, where what happens with this guy kind of shifts the market a little bit. Wherever Turner goes, I think it's going to lead to like a domino effect of change across the league. Because now they're going to try and answer to that. So if a team like Golden State gets Miles Turner, there's going to be a lot of teams trying to make change. Just because they understand now that Golden State now adds like a completely different dynamic to the way they play without changing their core concept and their core system is.
Sure. Shoot, man. This is just... There's so much shit that's going to happen these next few weeks, man.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even want to think about it. Like,
it's crazy.
Even as a Bucks fan, I think what we'll do is minimal, but I think even just the fact that we'll be in like these trade talks is just the league's gonna look so different in the next few weeks. Or we could be completely wrong and the Pacers, get cold feet and don't fucking do a thing, even though that is definitely what they should do.
Yeah, like they should be. Well, I mean, I think the people up there are smart enough to make that decision. But
I do too, but their main concern isn't winning a fucking chip. Their main concern is keeping asses in the seats.
Staying relevant.
I think
yeah.
If I'm in Indiana, I think you've cultivated a following that if you're bad for the next few years, that's okay. Like, sure, maybe the sales will take a hit, but I think if you give them that hope that there's this upside, that same, not necessarily the upside that Paul George brought, but that same sort of feeling where, okay, there's a nice young guy, let's see what happens kind of thing.
Detroit.
That's how you get, Detroit
Look
too.
at Detroit. That's literally the franchise that is, they've been at the barrel, like the bottom of the barrel, but you get a guy like Cade Cunningham and you go, okay, well, it's worth sitting through 5 years of complete ass because of the fact you have a guy who's been touted as a next generational player. So you go, all right. So, well, if Indiana can do that with their assets and just grab a crap ton of young players, a guy like Jonathan Kuminga who has a ton of upside, and all these picks, I think they'd be smart to do that.
Kuminga, man, that dude is special. I mean, he's like, what, 6'7", 220, and he's fucking 19 years old. He looks like his body's like a 5-year NBA veteran.
He's not done growing. That's the crazy part. Like guys like him, Evan Mobley, Scotty, those guys aren't done growing. But I think Kuminga has the best bag.
Oh yeah, he can get to the hoop like no one else. Oh, low key. But didn't Scotty enter the season as 6'9" and now he's 6'11" or some shit?
He actually came in at 6'7", and Nick Nurse recently mentioned that he's 6'9". So, and the guy you guys also know he plays backup point guard for the Raptors right now.
Bro, I love him as your guys' point guard.
Yeah. So
I
like the hybrid stuff.
Yeah.
And I know Miles Turner fits perfectly in that. So Indiana traded him to Toronto. We got some draft picks. We have a nice little kid named Malachi Flynn. You can take number 25 from us because he's doggy doo. His name is Chris Boucher. You guys can take him too, and we'll gladly take Miles Turner off your hands, please.
I think that's a perfect ending to this segment.
Here, you can take our doggy doo-doo for your gold. I'm happy with it.
Hey. Okay. All right, 3, 2. I'm gonna do the Ruben. 3, 2, 1. I'm sober. All right, so heading for these trade talks.
3, 2, 1. I'm sober.
All right, so heading for these trade talks, let's talk about, hopefully this becomes a staple. Actually, not hopefully. This will be a staple of this podcast. We got the Blacktop Showdown. So, basically, it's like this. I have been spending a bit of money here and there on basketball cards. And I think, there's more to it than just
Not
being
Yu-Gi-Oh
able to shove
cards?
them in cases. Not Yu-Gi-Oh cards, unfortunately. I only had like a small stint in that. But basketball cards. And I think with the game of basketball, like literally, I think everybody's first memory for the most part is going to the park, getting on the blacktop, and just hooping. Not worrying about, hey, send me this PNR, I'm going to go to this pin down type of thing. Just hooping. So basically, I have this album full of cards. We're all going to pick numbers 1 to 9. We're going to pick 3 of them. And then through some RNG, we're going to get our players. Now, these players range from about probably early 90s to today. So you could get anyone from like, the James Worthy to like a Kevin Porter Jr. So the scale is that big. I will say though, all the 90s players are like good. So there's no like, because I don't know who was a fucking bum in the 90s. But that being said, there are things called wild cards. So the wild cards we have, let me bring it up real quick. I will probably put a nice little gap here so that you guys don't hear that.
Who's a good wild card? The great Darko Milicic.
Close. I got Sam Bowie in here.
Yo, man, that guy was the greatest of all time.
Bro, Sam Bowie was the greatest player in the 1984 draft class. Yeah.
For draft class. It's not like the GOAT actually came out of that draft or anything.
I'll say to this. Ready? 3, 2, 1. So, as I said, we have wild cards. The first one is Sam Bowie, the greatest player to come out of the 1984 draft class. I don't know who Hakeem Olajuwon is. I don't know who Charles Barkley is. I don't know who Michael Jordan is. Those guys are bums compared to Sam Bowie. But if you land on Sam Bowie, you got to pick a bust. You guys like Darko Milicic, Kwame Brown, Anthony Bennett, stuff of that nature. After that, Phil Jackson, arguably, if not undisputedly, the greatest coach of all time. You can choose any player that has played for Phil Jackson. So you got the Bulls dynasty as well as the Lakers' nice little three-peat. From there, Christian Laettner, the greatest player to ever play for the US of A. You can pick any player that's represented the US in the Olympics. And last one, Pat Riley. You can choose any player that Pat has coached or been the president of. So basically, you got the Showtime Lakers or you got the Heatles. Now, aside from that, so after we get our three players, we're going to be able to re-roll twice. Now, you don't have to use the re-rolls necessary, but say you get a guy like, an Eric Bledsoe. Solid, but you want to potentially get that Michael Jordan, that Magic Johnson type of thing. You can use a reroll there. However, the reroll can bite you in the ass also, because if you choose to reroll, you have to use that player. So as much as you go from a Derrick Rose, you could go to a Goran Dragic real quick.
Hey, man, Goran's sick, bro.
True, bro. Raptors legend.
I just ask a question too. If we land on current, like, is this considering like at their peak, like for any of the players we get on our team?
Yeah. I'm not saying we're throwing out like a 60-year-old Magic Johnson against a 20-year-old. No. This is
Okay.
This is players at their peak,
and that's current players as well, right? Like,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So there will be 2 rounds. Round 1 is a one-on-one king of the court vibes. Your goal is to prove why your guy would win. Simple as is. You get a minute to debate to provide your primary points, and then after that, you'll have a 30-second rebuttal against the other guy. You can choose any of your players at this time. And the person who will be judging is just the guy that's not presenting at that time. Round 2. After we've gone through all of our guys, it's a 3-on-3 against each of our teams. You got to prove why your 3 would be on the blacktop. You got to prove why your 3 would be running the court on 2K kind of thing. All right. So, without further ado, y'all gotta give me 3 numbers, 1 to 9. You can double up if you want. If you want to go all 9s, don't matter to me.
You want to go first, Chin?
Sure. Give me 1, 5, and 5.
1, 5, and 5. All right. And let me set up this RNG thing real quick. I will share my screen. Where is it? There we go. Bing, bang, boom.
I'm nervous.
All right.
No, me too.
89.
I'm gonna get LeBron James. LeBron James.
All right, there we go. Ooh, this thing open. Okay. Oh, bruh, show my shit. Oh, damn. Okay. All right. 7. What was your first number, Chin?
1.
1. Oh, okay. This is a dude who's been in a lot of trade talks and has one of the best songs named after him. Oh, fuck, you can't even see. You got Mo Bamba for number 1.
It's Mo
Bamba. Dude, he's a guy that's
it's improvement.
Definitely in conversations.
All right. Oh, fuck, this should not show. You got 56. You just called 5 for the last 2, right?
Yeah. So are you pulling from the pages? How's this working?
So basically, from the left corner down to the bottom right, that's 1 to 9.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So what are the numbers that I choose represent? Sorry.
So if you choose 1, I'm choosing the first player top left.
Oh,
if you choose 9, you're getting the middle player. All right.
And 56 represents what?
The page.
Number
because I got 89 pages.
Oh, you got mad pages.
Yeah.
Oh wow, bro, dude! I've only got 15 pages of Yu-Gi-Oh cards, bro.
All right, a dude we were talking about earlier, CJ McCollum. You can't fucking see.
Man,
CJ McCollum.
Ooh, not a bad team.
You got a solid roster off the bat. Last one, 24. Okay.
Oh, that's the golden number right there.
Number 24, the golden number for Norman Powell.
Guys are part of one of the best talk shows. You got Kenny the Jet Smith.
What the fuck? So can I get a reroll? Basically, is what we're saying here.
Yeah. So do you want to re-roll any of them? I know you want to keep Kenny, but
I'll probably get a reroll on Kenny. To be honest,
just Kenny. Do you want to re-roll any others?
Kenny was one of the greatest shooters in the history of the NBA Finals.
Yeah, I'm
Big
not gonna
shots.
argue for Kenny Smith. Yeah, I just can't. I'll just I'll take a reroll just on Kenny.
Okay, give me a number. 1 to 9.
Give me 5 again.
5. Okay, 58.
I'm about to get a bust. I already know it.
Better than Kenny, I'll say. You got Mr. 50, 40, 90 himself, Malcolm Brogdon.
Okay, I can work with that.
You said 50, 40, 90. I was like, this man's about to get Steve Nash.
I think I'm gonna stick with that team for now. I think.
I know you don't want to use any of your rerolls. You're good.
I mean, I only have one other reroll, right? I got 2.
Yeah, so you can switch out either Mo Bamba or CJ.
I mean, I need a big, considering my team layout right now.
You don't think 7 put Mo Bamba's a big?
No, I'm
Well, I
saying
mean,
I'm saying I
he
don't
said
want to lose. I'm saying I don't want to lose him, but like I wouldn't risk CJ McCollum. You know, like I don't. I'm sure you got good players in there, but like, what if I get like I don't know, man. Like I don't even have anyone off the top of my head. What if I get Matisse Thybulle, my new
Manute Bol.
yo, Manute Bol is in here.
All
There's a
right.
few Manute Bols in here.
You know what? Just for the fun of it, let's re-roll for CJ. I think I might be
Roll
messing
for
up here.
CJ. So you're keeping Mo and Malcolm. Okay.
Actually, hold up. Sorry, I'm really. Let's re-roll for Malcolm Brogdon again.
No, Malcolm Brogdon you have to keep because you
Oh,
re-rolled.
right. That's what I thought. Yeah, okay, yeah. No, yeah. Let's re-roll for CJ.
Okay. Number 1 to 9.
Damn.
Give me 1.
And you said 5?
No, sorry. Give me 1. 1 is the number I picked.
Oh, 1. Sorry, my bad.
Definitely don't got anyone good in the back of the book. I'm just kidding. Yo, give me
What
Cole.
number again? 1?
1. Yeah.
This dude's a legend. This is a dude who's been a part of some great teams.
Yo, don't play me right now, yo.
Steve Kerr.
Close. George Hill.
George. Oh my god.
Hey, if I got George Hill, I could argue more of a shit, yo. You got this.
No, I mean, okay. We'll work with
So
that.
your final roster is Mo Bamba, George Hill, and Malcolm Brogdon.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, Ruben. 3 numbers, brother.
All right, give me 3, 6,
3, 6, and 9. Okay. 65. Okay.
Give me Allen Iverson, bro. Give me Allen Iverson.
You guys are gonna get like some legends. I got Malcolm Brogdon, George Hill, Mo Bamba, man. Come on now.
It's not about who's actually better. If you can prove that, if George Hill can bust Gary Payton's ass, you can prove that, or you can like show some, you can talk enough. Sorry, Ruben, what was your first number? 5? 3.
3.
Ooh. 3 on 65 is quite a nice player, if I do say so myself. Been a member of some Warrior Championship teams. Harrison Barnes.
Oh, not bad. At his peak too, hey? So the beginning of this year.
6 and 9, but we got 44 here. Okay.
You have 44, 3, 2, 1. I'm sober.
Our first legend. This is a dude who was on the NBA 75 list. Bernard King. Knicks legend.
Oh, that's a nice one.
All right. And our very last one, 22. Ooh. Nice 7-footer here. Mitchell Robinson.
Oh, okay. I'm gonna definitely re-roll on him.
Okay, number 1 to 9.
A 2. 2 and 2.
Ooh.
And I have to accept this player.
I think you'll be able to argue for this guy. You got Mighty Mouse, David Stoudemire.
Oh, that's an easy one. Rookie of the Year, 1995.
I got no way of proving I'm not cheating, but no, I'm not. I will choose 3, 7, and 5. Oh fuck! I roll them back. Okay.
Who's my first player again? By the way.
Oh, Harrison Barnes. Yeah, Harrison Barnes, Bernard King, and Damon Stoudemire. All right. I got the best player in the Rockets right now, Kevin Porter Jr.
Hey, man, you manifested it. You literally said his name before we started this whole
I'm not
section.
gonna lie, I was drinking the Kool-Aid on him too. I mean, he started to play a little bit better, but shit. Okay. 11. This will be 7. Oh. I got Kyrie.
What the hell?
Kyrie's the fucking god of street ball.
God damn it, man.
Okay. 9 on
That's
61.
cheating.
Bro, I swear I'm not. On everything I love.
Cheater, cheater, cheater. Come on, man.
Fuck, y'all definitely gonna think I'm cheating. I got fucking Jason Kidd.
Oh,
That's a
man.
bull.
Oh, man.
You know what? Keep it. Keep it.
Yeah,
keep
man.
it. Keep
We
it.
can argue,
Keep
man.
it.
Yeah, no, like literally, if I make a shitty argument for Jason Kidd, you could definitely prove to the other person that maybe George Hill better. Who knows? Okay, I'm gonna definitely re-roll. Fuck is his name? Kevin Porter Jr. Because I need a big man here. Give me 5. Fuck. I got Ruben's boy, yo, Kyle Lowry. I mean, I'll take it, but shit, man, I ain't got no bigs.
You have a full team of point guards. Who's your first guy? You got Kyrie, Kyle, and
Kyrie, Jason Kidd, and Kyle Lowry.
Yo, you got short kings, yo.
Yo.
Yeah.
Short kings.
That's some facts.
All right, so now that we got our players, let's just go over real quick. Christian, who you got?
All right, so I got George Hill. I got Malcolm Brogdon, and I got Mo Bamba, the king himself.
Sick. Ruben, who you got?
I got former Rookie of the Year and Toronto Raptors legend, Damon Stoudemire. I've got NBA champion, Harrison Barnes. And the great NBA 75er, the legend, Bernard King.
Sick.
Bang, bang.
And me, myself, everybody don't think I'm cheating, but I swear on my love for my mother and my father that I'm not. I have Kyrie Irving, Jason Kidd, and who's the last one? Kyle Lowry. So now that we've got our boys, we're going to take a little break here, 5 minutes, to, bolster our arguments. See y'all in a bit. All right, so we are back. So the Blacktop has 2 rounds. Round 1 is a one-on-one matchup. You can choose any of your players, but it's just you got to match up. You got to explain why your guy's better. It's not about who's actually better. It's about proving that your guy is better in a sense. Like, if I was bad at debating, Christian could potentially prove that, or not prove, but make an argument that George Hill is better than Jason Kidd even. Could go any way here. Now, here's what's going to happen. We go spin this wheel here. Whoever it lands on, or whoever the 2 lands on, that's our first matchup. Whoever is not landing on it, that's the guy who's going to judge. But round 2, though, is a 3-on-3 style. Imagine we're at Rutgers Park, our 3 against your 3. See how it happens there. So let's get right to it. So, first one. These fuckers can't see, but it is Ruben. Oh,
What's
never
happening?
mind. It's Christian. What the fuck?
It's Christian, yeah.
All right. We got Christian and Ruben. All right. Now we got Ruben. Okay. All right. So, Christian, you can choose whoever. Who's the first guy you want to make an argument for?
So the person I'm be having in my 1v1 game is Malcolm Brogdon.
Okay. And then Ruben, who are you going to argue for?
If you're arguing for Malcolm Brogdon, I'm going to argue for Bernard King.
All right.
Respect. All right. So Christian arguing for Malcolm Brogdon and Ruben arguing for Bernard King. Christian, your 1 minute starts now.
Okay. So let's just get some shit out of the air real quick. So Malcolm Brogdon, by surprise, like I honestly didn't know this, but on his career, he's averaging 15.4 points per game. And like, obviously, like that doesn't sound all that big when you compare him to the likes of anyone in the NBA 75. But you have to think about it from the perspective that this is the type of player that's literally been in the shadow of players since the beginning of his career. And he still won Rookie of the Year. Even though his draft class, let's say, isn't, anything special, that's still an accolade worth mentioning. When you think of Rookie of the Years, you can think of crazy players like Derrick Rose, Michael Jordan. Okay, let's not get that far. But let's just say, like, let's think of that, right? Like, that is one of the largest accolades. It's only winnable in the first season of your career. And so I think that's my first point is that averaging 15.4.
Time.
Oh, I'm cut off already?
Yeah, you get a minute.
Oh man, I'm not even. All right, fuck. Definitely should have mentioned my other points there.
All good. You can bring that energy up in your rebuttal. Now, Ruben, your opening argument. Do you guys want me to like say shit if it's like 10 seconds? Would that help?
Maybe,
Fuck,
yeah.
Sure.
Okay, yeah,
Yeah.
I'll do that. My bad. Okay. Ruben presenting his argument for Bernard King. In 3, 2, 1, go.
All right, well, so we're talking about Bernard King, an NBA 75er, a legend in his own right. We're talking about one of the most explosive, and professional scorers of his era. Dude, at one season, 1985, averaged 32.9 points per game and had 8 50-point games for his career. So, I mean, the stats say it all. He is one of the legends, one of the greatest of all time. His ability to post up defenders, very athletic, ability to finish with both hands, made him a scorer that separated him from pretty much anybody else in the league at that time. One season, he tore his ACL, I think it was, or he had a major knee injury, ruined his season, came back and actually won NBA Comeback Player of the Year. And he had 22.7 points per game for New York the following season after his injury. So you're talking about one of the greatest scorers in NBA history. So I think he would win in 101.
All right, now 30-second rebuttal. In 3, 2, 1, go.
Okay, so I'm just gonna be straight. Like Bernard King and Malcolm Brogdon are on two different pedestals, but I truly believe Malcolm Brogdon still has a case to be made that he's always been seen as a role player, and there's a lot of untapped potential there. And if you're on the blacktop, like you don't consider like 32 points per game, you consider who could actually be better player on the floor. Being a 50, 40, 90 player, there's only been 8 players to ever do it. I don't know if anyone did it in the last few seasons, but just saying.
All right. Okay, Ruben, your rebuttal. In 3, 2, 1, go.
I like Malcolm Brogdon, really solid role player. But at 6'4", constant injuries, I just don't think he has the facilities to guard a guy like Bernard King, who is, in the stratosphere of guys like we've seen Kevin Durant, LeBron James, James Harden, those kind of scorers. Bernard King has those numbers, and if it were a one-on-one on the blacktop, it's easy money.
All right. So, Christian, you put up a valiant effort, but I'm going to have to give it to Ruben. All things that aside, though, I think off rip, one thing I definitely got to change is like put tears. So that's definitely something I'll do for next episode, but we're rolling with what we got right now. So, Score 1 for Ruben. So I will be arguing, I'll bring out the big fish, man, because it's Ruben. I got to go Kyle Lowry.
Okay. All right. I like that.
Or Ruben, who you gonna bring out?
Well, I'm going to bring up another Raptor great, Damon Stoudemire.
All right, I respect that. Okay. I will start first. In 3, 2, 1, boom. All right, now when we're talking about Kyle Lowry, we're talking about a man who literally has the nickname Mr. Raptor, the greatest Raptor of all time. This is a guy that teams threw away, but he found a home in Toronto. A 6-time All-Star, one of the thickest guards I've ever seen. This dude's 6 foot, and I literally seen him not say clap, no, fuck that. He's clapped down 7-footers before. This is a guy who takes charges. That might not necessarily translate to the blacktop, but the grittiness and the heart, the Pennsylvanian heart that Kyle Lowry has is unmatched. And the fact that he grew up in Philly, he was playing blacktop 6, it's like 7 days a week, 24/7, 365. Pussy stay on my mind. Kyle Lowry, this is a dude who's been a double-digit points averager for literally the bulk of his career. And even the fact that he's in his later years, he's still just as effective, if not more. So that's my time, Mr. Raptor. All right. Ruben.
All right.
Your opening argument in 3, 2, 1, boom.
Well, I mean, there's much to be said about the great man right here, Kyle Lowry, the great champion, 6-time All-Star. However, I do have to go against that point with Mighty Mouse. There's a reason he's called Mighty Mouse. One of the most electrifying small point guards there is in the league. And Kyle Lowry ain't that big either. So they're about the same size at 6 feet versus, Damon Stoudemire's 5'11", electrifying scorer, one of the best bags that we've seen. Rookie of the Year in 1995. I mean, his ability to create off the dribble. I mean, you could put a great defender on him, but didn't really matter. He can get past him. He can shoot the three ball. He's a 35% three-point shooter from the perimeter. I mean, what else can be said about this guy? I mean, you put any kind of defender on him, he's able to get past them. And listen, he's also from the great Portland area that is a bred of great basketball players and great talents of all time.
My rebuttal in 3, 2, 1. As deep as someone's bag can be, there's one thing that wins championships. It's the reason Kyle Lowry's a championship. I don't believe Damon Stoudemire has a championship, but the one thing that wins championships is good D. Kyle Lowry is a man of many great things, but his D is up there. His ability to guard on the perimeter, his ability to guard bigger dudes, and the fact that he's only got to guard a 5'11" dude, that's free cheese. Alrighty, Ruben. Your rebuttal in 3, 2, 1, go.
We're speaking strictly on the blacktop. Kyle Lowry is a great defender, a gritty guy. Let's just say this game would take 2 hours to finish because it would be hard to score on Kyle Lowry. But Kyle Lowry, in terms of scoring prowess and his ability, just not as good as Damon Stoudemire's. And I think at the end of the day, if they're going shot for shot, possession by possession, you're talking about a guy who averaged 20 points at one point, 40% from 3-point, over 80%, almost 90% from the free throw line.
Right, respect.
Man.
Christian, who you got there?
This is a tough matchup, and I mean, this is going to be, like, obviously I'm not biased. I mean, I would say I'm more biased to Kyle Lowry. I've grown up watching him. I will say you guys have both argued good points. Like, I agree with Ruben's take that it would be a 2-hour matchup because this is like a matchup of offense versus defense, I think, at the end of the day, with Kyle Lowry being one of the best plus-minus players of all time. Or not plus-minus, but like advanced stats-wise, he's been like in deep talks for a long time. But I'm going to have to give this one surprisingly to Ruben. I think what I took away from it is that, I've been convinced, honestly, that, like, in his career, like, Damon Stoudemire, like, I think he's just been, like, an offensive threat. And I think I agree that on the blacktop, like, that'll be a little more important, regardless of how big Kyle Lowry's booty is. I just think, like, the type of way blacktop is laid out, I just think, there isn't going to be anyone to, like, help Lowry's ass if, it's taken to the paint or anything like that. That's just my opinion, though. I think DJ, you lost me a little bit when you kept mentioning his D, got me a little sussed out there. But this is our first round of this. I'm sure we'll get better at it.
Hey, all good. Hey, I got my little preview clip right here. Okay. Okay. So between
we got Christian against DJ now, right?
Oh yeah.
It's basically it.
Because Ruben's only got his one. Okay. I guess we'll roll this for who goes first between me and him.
Oh man.
Right, Christian. Oh, I spell your name. Oh, what the fuck? My bad.
Yeah, Chris Chasna. Chris Chasna. Chris Chasna.
All right. So, my guess is DJ's gonna choose Kyrie Irving. So before I even start, I'm actually going to get Mo Bamba as my last player on the blacktop today.
Wait, this is your second round. You still got one more after this.
We have another matchup?
Yeah, we're going like all the way through all our three.
Oh, so we get to do our third player goes into a 1v1. All right, well, I'll choose Mo Bamba either way, baby.
Okay. All right. That being said, I will choose Jason Kidd. I'll save Kyrie for. I'll save
that's a pretty good one
for the end there. All right, Christian. rocking with Mo Bamba. Does he have the hose, though? Let's see.
Yes.
In 3, 2, 1, go.
All right. So I gotta set some things straight about Mo Bamba real quick. This guy, I think, is really going to be considered in the next few years one of the best talents in the NBA. The other day, he actually had 7 threes against Philly, mind you, with 32 points. And, you think of Mo Bamba and you think of a defensive player. On the year, he's averaging 2.1 blocks. I don't know. I mean, we're going up against, I forgot who, and I got to speak about Mo Bamba, but this guy can play both sides of the floor. And from a 2-point percentage, rating, he's shooting 55%. He honestly can play all around the court. And in a blacktop setting, I just think this is going to be most important. And, he might give up a few free shots considering how big he is. But I do think at the end of the day, he is a big body and that's all you got to know. And 32 points against Joel Embiid. I don't know, man.
All right. Not bad. Okay, my opening argument for Jason Kidd in 3, 2, 1. So there's a difference between what a player is projected to be and what a player has done. Jason Kidd is a generational talent, which 10 assists per game in a season. Now, fuck the 20-point per game club. That's got everyone in it. The 10 assists per game club is elite. And I know it might not be on the blacktop, but if there's one thing that means you can dish out the dimes, it means that you got good handles. Jason Kidd, crazy handles for a man of his stature. Not only that, 9-time all-defensive team, 10-time all-star, 2011 NBA champion. And who gives a fuck about Mo Bamba's 7 threes when fucking Joel Embiid dropped 50 on his head? Now, I know that's not about Jason Kidd, but Jason Kidd is a guy that if you see him on the blacktop, you're not going to think he be on shit, but he's a bald dude. But he's definitely going to bust your ass. 100%. Bet on it. Alrighty. Christian, your 30-second rebuttal in 3, 2, 1, go.
So I understand the whole idea of generational talent versus a player that is growing into a better player, but I do think with how Mo Bamba is currently playing, he's only averaging 0.9 turnovers in his whole career. That says a lot to a player who, is pretty much exposed on the floor this year. I think with going up against Jason Kidd, he is just too little at the end of the day. Someone who can shoot the ball is just going to be able to take over like a 6-foot guard, So.
All right. I'm going in 3, 2, 1. Now, don't disrespect Jason Kidd, man. He's 6'4", like an Impala. Now, even though Jason Kidd might be smaller than Mo Bamba, it is well documented by other players that he's incredibly strong despite his stature. Now, if I'm Mo Bamba, I might get in my head like, man, this motherfucker ain't gonna guard me. I'm 7 foot. If I start backing him down, and with that, Jason Kidd's all defensive teams, those instincts gonna kick in. He might pull the chair out of him. Mo Bamba fall on his ass. Or, oh, fuck, but... Damn, that 30 seconds go quick. Hi, Ruben.
Ooh,
I had
some good arguments. Okay, so I was going to be like, DJ, you're forgetting one thing, but you did mention it. Jason Kidd is a big point guard. He is a big point guard. He's got good instincts defensively. He's got good length. And he's known to be a very tough and gritty and a very smart player, one of the smartest players of all time. With Mo Bamba, on the blacktop, if you're looking at a one-on-one setting, he's a guy who's 7'1" and can shoot the ball. And you said his 2-point percentage, his percentile is at 55%, right? And then the blacktop, quite frankly, you're going to be within the 3-point range because you're going to check it up top. And from there, it depends on how you're playing. 3 dribbles or unlimited dribbles. Mo Bamba, all he has to do is turn his back around, keep it up, and because of his shooting ability, he can shoot over the defense. So I'm sorry, DJ. As much as I love Jason Kidd, I have to give this on to Christian because he did make that argument with size, his ability to shoot the ball, and also he did mention his ability to cover the floor. He is an agile, more athletic big than most guys, and he's not that slow. So he can cover a bit of ground, and he's got the length. So in a blacktop setting, all you have to do is back him down, turn and face and shoot, or just back him all the way.
All right, all right.
That was an interesting
Okay.
matchup. I'd want to see that in real life.
That was a very interesting matchup. That is.
Oh, did I do my fucking math? Because wait. Christian, how many players do you have left?
I have one left.
And then Ruben, you have one, right?
Yeah.
Oh, fuck. I fucked this up. Okay. We'll do it like this. We're doing this on the fly. Whoever wins this one, we'll go one more round with me. And then, like, you can choose whichever your player is. Yeah? Yeah?
All right.
Yeah? All right.
So,
all right.
Yeah.
by default, my player is George Hill. I don't know who.
Yeah, Ruben, who's your last guy?
Harrison Barnes.
Oh, shit.
Oh, this guy's potential to be good. All right. Ruben. Harrison Barnes. On 3,
Yeah.
in 2, and 1, and go.
All right. Well, Harrison Barnes, what else can be said about a 2-time NBA champion? So let's look quickly at his stats here. I'm going to bring it up. It's going to take me a little bit of time, though. His best season, he averaged 19.2 points per game. Not that amazing, but we all know that he has the ability to shoot the ball. For one season, he hit 40% from the three-point line. So you check it up top, he's a danger from the perimeter. We all know he's got the ability to back it down. At 6'8", he's got the length and the size and the weight to be able to back down any player. So he can turn, face, and shoot. He was also known coming out of high school and in college that he's got an array of offensive moves. Defensively, we all know that he took a lot of defensive assignments during those championship years against the likes of Kyrie Irving and LeBron James. So, depends on whoever it is on that side of the floor. He can defend anybody. He can score on anybody. He's got the size. And, he's got all the facets of this game to win him to 101.
All right, Christian. For a man that I love dearly, George Hill. In 3, and 2, and 1, and go.
All right, so we gotta be real. My whole team has been full of role players and guys that haven't necessarily shown the best. But with George Hill, we gotta keep in mind that this guy has been a player that's been around. And in his best season, he averaged 16.9 with 2 players on his team, or even 3. You could consider Roy Hibbert, Paul George, Danny Granger, all players that were considerably in their prime at the point. And this guy was playing at 17 points per game. This is like my same argument with Malcolm Brogdon, that he is just a player at the end of the day that hasn't been given ever the spotlight. But he 16.9 points per game beside Paul George, like you'll take that every day. He's always been like an agile player. He's a plus defender, averaging 1 steal in his whole career, which, considering he's played 16 seasons and he's rode the bench a lot of it, like this guy is considerably a good player in his prime if you were to ever see him as a star. So.
All right. Ruben, that shit gonna type. There we go. Your rebuttal in 3, 2, 1, go.
George Hill, really solid player, but a lot of those 17 points per game during that time was off of spot-up shots and the pick and roll. His ability to create with a secondary offensive player and his ability to be able to hit the wide-open shots when other players are drawing defenders in, big time. You don't have that on the blacktop. And he doesn't have very much of a bag. Harrison Barnes will be able to lock that down, checks it back up to Harrison Barnes. It's a back down or a 3-point in your face.
Aye. Okay. Christian, rebuttal. In 3, and 2, and 1, and go.
All right. So this is going a little bit against grain, but if you were to take his best stats from every part of the season, or any season from George Hill, he could be a 50, 40, 90 player. In the 2016 season, he was averaging 52% from the 2s and almost 40% from the 3. I just think against a player like Harrison Barnes, he could be pretty agile. Definitely has his handles. You've seen him. He's been athletic in his career. He still plays a role in Milwaukee. Fuck. Yeah. I don't know, man.
Right. Gotta give this one to Harrison Barnes, man. I think the main thing probably was that kind of like sunk you chin was when he brought up that a lot of his points come off catch and shoots. Now I think if you bring that to the 3-on-3, that might be some heat. But gotta give this one to the Black Falcon. Plus
I
points for the
respect it.
nickname too. Harrison Barnes. All right, Ruben. Who are you bringing against Kyrie Irving?
Oh, well, I got to take the legend, Bernard King.
Okay. I will start things off. There's my minute. In 3, and 2, and 1, go. Now, when it comes to the blacktop, there's one thing that matters the most. It's who's got that rock in their hands? Who's got the ball on the string? And when it comes to having a ball on the string, it's Kyrie Irving, man. Arguably, not even arguably, undeniably, the greatest ball handler of all time. This guy has got to have the deepest bag when it comes to dribbling the ball. And that doesn't even include his ability to create off the dribble. I mean, he's hit one of the biggest shots in NBA history, and that was a fading 3. Even that shit's hard as fuck. And not to mention, his ability to get the hoop and his craftiness, second to none. He's literally in a movie about being a street ball legend. And when all things are said and done, I think Kyrie Irving will be the equivalent of Michael Jordan in the sense that there's nobody that can touch him when it comes to ball handling. And your ability to keep the ball away from your opponent is second to none. That's important on the blacktop. His ability to create off the dribble, second to none. His ability to stretch, second to none. All right, Ruben, your opening remarks. In 3, and 2, and 1, and go.
Kyrie Irving, great player. We all know he would be very successful in the blacktop. But hey, in one random game, Bernard King came out of nowhere. Kyrie Irving came out of nowhere. We took a time machine. We went back in time. Let's put them on the blacktop. Let's try it out. Bernard King, remember, is one of the most explosive scorers of all time. Can dunk the ball from pretty much anywhere, take off from anywhere. He had the post game. He had the ability to shoot. So on the offensive end, when he has the size difference, the athleticism difference, there's nothing that Kyrie Irving can do. And so, if he starts out with possession, you're probably looking at a guy who's scoring 7 straight, 11 straight, depending on what the final score is going to be. That's his possession. On the defensive end, look, at the end of the day, it is said that he's not an amazing defender, but he's got the size, and on the blacktop, anything can happen. And with a guy that small and that big, there's always the difference for the bigger guy.
My rebuttal in 3, and 2, and 1, and go. Now, Bernard King played in a time when the small point guard was not a thing. That being said, if we bring them to the blacktop, just like how much bunch of people might underestimate Jason Kidd for being bald, a lot of people might underappreciate Kyrie for being small. That being said, his ability to keep the ball on a string, his ability to create for himself is second to none. Now, Kyrie Irving, arguably the greatest ball handler and one of the greatest scorers in the league right now. All right, Ruben, your rebuttal in 3, and 2, and 1, and go.
There's no doubt Kyrie Irving is has one of the best bags we've ever seen in NBA history. I mean, he's pulled off some great plays in games, but Bernard King is a Hall of Fame player, an NBA 75er. He's a legend, and the only reason why he made it in there is for his ability to just score and his ability to get to the rim and his ability to create. That's a blacktop legend in my eyesight when he's able to do that on the NBA floor.
All right, Christian, who you got?
All right, my real question is it possible? Man, this is very scenario based because I think when Ruben brought up that the first possession matters, I definitely agree because Kyrie Irving, in my opinion, is like a player that you won't get the ball from, especially with Bernard King's like almost being like a minus defender, like Ruben said. I do think there is some contention there that if Kyrie had first possession, he would win the game for sure. And I think it go the same way with Bernard King because he is the big guy. So like, I don't know if this is allowed because personally, like, I might just be like making up rules as we go, but I think like I mean, it's not impossible to tie in basketball, but this is hard to say. Like, you might have to bring this to 2K to settle this, man. Like, at this point, like, I I honestly can't choose because I do think like I don't know if Kyrie was involved in the top 75 list. I like skimmed through it. Was he a top 75?
I don't
Um,
think so. I think he was left out.
yeah, but like I think all things considered, like
Yeah, he was left out.
Yeah, like he is like top 80, you know, like he's there. Um if I had to choose, I gotta give the argument to Ruben. Solely
Yeah.
because I do think like the size will matter on the court. Like I think efficiency wise, like having a big guy like Bernard King, like man, this is even tough to argue for, like in sharing my opinion. But I do think like Bernard King would be able to eventually get a stop on Kyrie Irving, um, given the size difference. And then from that, it might just be barbecue chicken all day. So I think if we're thinking
Hey,
first possession, either way, Bernard King, I think, could come out on top. This is probably a hot take, though. Kyrie is undeniably the best ball. Not the. It's not undeniable, but
Yeah. I'm not gonna lie, that was pretty
where you put it
damn,
above?
it's a reach, man. It's a reach for me, honestly. I was like, damn, Kyrie. But I'm just trying to like envision it. It's like the size and contesting a shot. If Kyrie doesn't already blow past him or anything like that. But also Bernard King is also one of the most athletic players during his time. So
that's what I think.
so many variables. But Kyrie, it's for sure like he's a blacktop player by heart.
For sure. I think maybe I'm just.
He's literally the only dude I've ever seen fucking spit on the ground to get a shot. If that don't scream blacktop, I don't know what to do. But hey, it's okay. I lost all my three. I kind of deserve it because low key, right off the bat, there was a hole in this shit. I gotta make different tiers, but that's okay. We will come back better. But all right, we got round 2, the 3-on-3. Now, this one isn't necessarily one that we'll judge. Maybe the comments will decide, whoever. But we'll give each other. We'll go 2 minutes this time, so that you can go present your 3 against each other's 3, and what you think is going to happen. Now, we'll spin for order, though. Okay.
I think we should make it spicy and make it a minute. That maybe
You want to go minute it? I'm down if y'all are down. Minute?
I think we gotta like play on ball a little bit. I think we have
Okay.
to.
We'll keep
I
it
like
nice and
that. I
tight.
like that.
A little bit of
Okay.
motion, you gotta.
True. All right. I'm fucked. I'm covered. Oh.
Who was the first one? Was that me already?
It was me. So it's
DJ and Christian.
Okay.
It's me, Christian, and then Rubes. Okay.
All right.
Let me throw a suggestion out to you guys.
For sure.
No rebuttal, just 1 minute.
Oh yeah, just a minute. This one's no rebuttal.
Just 1 minute, because we've made arguments about the individual players.
Yeah.
I think there's a really good argument that can be made now, keeping that in context with your own team.
All right, let's do it.
All right, 3 and 2 and 1 and go. Now, Kyle Lowry, Jason Kidd, Kyrie Irving. 3 of the top guards in their respective positions at their given times. Kyrie Irving would obviously be my 2. He's shooting the ball. Every possession he gets, he's creating for himself. And now I got one of the best passers of all time, Jason Kidd, to assist to him. Now, we all regard James Harden as one of the best passers in the league right now, but Jason Kidd is one of the best passers of all time. His ability to get the balls to people, second to none. Now, I can't forget about Kyle Lowry. Who gives a fuck if he's 6 foot? He's going to body up Mo Bamba. Now, obviously, there's no refs, but again, his ability to defend is crazy good. Now, when it comes to Kyrie Irving, there's no one on the court that I think could guard him if he's able to move out, if he's able to like space the floor more, able to have more room to maneuver. He's definitely getting by everybody, free cheese every day. And shoot, Kyle Lowry, big fat ass. All I gotta say. All right. Damn, that made it come up quick, yo. You gotta go all 3? Okay. Christian.
All right.
In 3 and 2 and 1 and go.
Okay, so there's a reason I definitely set up my team the way it is. I could have got rid of Mo Bamba if I wanted to, but let's be real. I've already mentioned Mo Bamba as a defensive prowess, but like Malcolm Brogdon, George Hill and Mo Bamba are arguably all plus defender players, especially Mo Bamba and Malcolm Brogdon. I do think Kyrie Irving could respectively probably blow by them on good possessions, but I think in terms of spacing the floor, like you're going to have a hard time getting on to Mo Bamba considering he is like a 2 point or 2 blocks per game type of player, shooting threes. You could definitely make the argument that you could leave some players open at times. Malcolm Brogdon is like a high assist player. He's averaging 6 assists this season, 4.8 on his career. George Hill is like an agile scorer. He was mentioned before as an off-ball shooter, and like if you're talking about any player that could handle the ball in my team, I don't think there's like any weak spots there. So
Respect. All right, Ruben, bring it home. 3, 2, 1, go.
So my team, I think it's a really good mix of conventional positions where you have Bernard King, who's more of a power forward, small forward, Harrison Barnes, who's a 2-3-4, and a Damon Stoudemire, who's your point guard. I don't have a big that can defend a guy like a Mo Bamba right then and there, but you do have some size and length, so you can at least cover a little bit of ground against a team like DJ's where you have 3 point guards. Defensively, Harrison Barnes can cover some ground. So pretty much anytime you're switching. So I like my ability. If you've got 3 guards on the floor, I can switch all the positions. I like my chances against Christian's team because even though he has Mo Bamba, you've got some size at least to be able to double and then be able to cash out and go contest. And then on the offensive end, you've got Damon Stoudemire, you've got Bernard King and Harrison Barnes, a whole ton of offensive options that you can go with. Harrison Barnes in the post, Bernard King in the post, you got shooters. Damon Stoudemire can create one-on-one.
Hey, all right. Well, as there's no rebuttal, that is technically the end. Shoot, that was really sick. I mean, definitely some things we could work on with like regards to tiering everyone, but I think all things considered, that was fucking fun. I appreciate y'all getting on with me, man. Like,
yes, sir.
Yeah.
I think my team would win respectively.
Honestly, I
Not gonna lie.
think just by the virtue that Christian has a 7-footer, low key.
Yeah. Like Mo Bamba, like surprisingly, like I haven't kept up with him because I don't watch the Magic, but I could see him being like a potential player. Like if we're talking trade talks next time, like he could definitely be in the talks too. Like he fits with the timeline, but like
I think most reports say that he's gonna get traded. I want to see him in OKC, low key.
yeah, and he plays beside Wendell Carter Jr. too, right? Like those are 2 players that like
they're basically mirror versions of each other. Just Bamba is a slightly bigger player, but Wendell Carter is probably more along. Yeah, I probably think Christian's team might win this because like you got a blow by. You meet Mo Bamba at the rim, and Mo Bamba's agile enough to go out and contest. Yeah. And then on the offensive end, like you can run the screen and roll, or you can have him in the strong side or the weak side, and then blow past your defender. You just alley-oop it to him, or if he wants to sit out in the paint or sit out in the 3-point line, he can also knock that down.
No one's contesting him. But just because we're low-key at main feet doesn't mean that you should agree. Now, if you got a different opinion, let us know in the comments below. Shoot, this is the first episode. It'll only get better from here. I appreciate my homies getting down with me. I mean, before we end off here, y'all got anything you want to plug? Anything y'all got going on?
Follow me on TikTok, bro. Go watch my vlogs. That's it. Right, I'm boring, though, so it is what it is. Oh, and the ad is REUBENJRD, Ruben JRD. You guys can follow me there on Instagram, Twitter. If you want to see my basketball takes, you can go follow me there. I'm pretty much in the grain of Raptors Twitter, so if you love Raptors stuff or love talking shit to the Raptors, you can at me.
All right. And Christian, what you got going on, cuzzo?
I mean, follow me on Instagram if you can find me at CP Jerome. Just kind of got some plans for the year. Nothing I can mention right now, but
it's got some fire.
Yeah, I'm a graphic designer. If you need me, just hit me up.
It runs in the family, eh?
It does.
And as for me, I have been your host, DJ. I guess you can find anything Blacktop related to this podcast at the BLACKTOP Pod. That's the Black TOPPOD. And yeah, shoot. Appreciate y'all getting down with me again. Thank you for listening in, and I will, and maybe these guys will too. Maybe we'll see you soon. Have a good one, y'all.